Har Megiddo is the original Greek. Okay? Har means hill or mountain. Now, by our standards, by Texas standards, this could be a mountain. By California standards, this is a hill. When you're looking up at a 3,000-foot mountain and you see a 800-foot hill, there's a distinction there. Okay? No matter where you are. People in the hill country think that you have mountains. You don't have no mountains. You ain't seen a mountain if you think what you have here is a mountain. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. All we have is hills. Big hills, still hills. So Har means hill or mountain. And in here it says Harmageddon. But the original Greek is Megiddo. It's a location. It's a city. There's a city called Megiddo in Israel. Har Megiddo is the little hill outside the city of Megiddo. And overlooking, Mount Megiddo overlooks the Jezreel Valley. And the Jezreel Valley is going to be a staging point. Okay? The battle does not take place at Armageddon, or Megiddo, or Armageddon. However you want to say it, it's a staging ground. That's all it is. Okay? So, and they were gathered them together to the place, which in the Hebrew is called, I said Greek, didn't I? I meant Hebrew, not Greek. All right. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. Don't know I'm crazy. All right. Chapter 17, the seventh bowl of wrath. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl upon the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne, saying, "It is done." Now, I want to expound on this a little bit. He pours out the bowl and claims it is done. Now, what I'm about to go into after that verse is the effects of what happened from pouring it out. Okay? When it says it is done, it does not mean the effects of what was poured out has been done before he says it. The pouring of the bowl is done. Okay? He pours it, it's done. Now, what's in the bowl is still on its way, and it's going to happen momentarily, but it can be confusing for some people because people get that messed up, and they go, well, I don't understand. What are all these other things? Because he said it's already done. No. The effect is not taking place yet. It's just, he poured it, and he's done. Okay? Now the effects. 18. And there were flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder. And there was a great earthquake, such as there had not been since man came to be upon the earth. So great an earthquake was it, and so mighty. So, we already know we've had some whoppers of earthquakes at this point in time from the other judgments. We've had earthquakes that drove men into caves saying, "Fall on us." I mean, worldwide geological events. Now, here's the interesting thing about this verse. It says, an earthquake so great as has not been since man lived on it. Does that mean one existed? One happened before that? Uh-oh. What happened before man existed? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Can I give you the answer? No, I cannot. Okay, ask me again when I'm in my glorified body and mind, and yes, I'll have an answer for you. Okay? But until then, no, I don't have an answer. But I have a hypothesis. In Genesis 1:1, it starts. It's about God hovering over the waters. Okay? The water existed before God formed the earth. Now, before God formed the earth as we know it today, in this condition, but there was something there. Something existed. There was no land. Land. What is land? Is land in its nature wet or dry? And it's predominantly, if left alone, is it wet or dry? Without rain, without something happening to it. land. It's dry. Of its own. Now, if you get rain, obviously it gets wet. But then what does it do? It dries back out. So what's its natural state? Dry. Land. We walk on it. God made land so we could walk. He intended for land to be dry. To get wet, yes, and be okay and not, disintegrate. But land is dry. Now, what is earth? Can you distinguish for me the difference between land and earth? Does earth have to be wet or dry? Can it be either? Does it have a natural state? Which is it? Land, we know of its natural state, is meant to be dry so we can walk on it. Earth is merely what everything sits on. It is the planet itself. Now, before there was land, could Earth exist? Yes, it can. What do you guys think the water was sitting on? Now again, I can't prove this. This is merely this is probably about maybe 6 months ago, I was having a conversation with somebody. I was teaching them things, like why the dinosaurs did not come. There was no dinosaur age. There was no ice age. He was very confused about this. He was trying to be a Christian and still thought dinosaurs had a couple billion years to roam the earth. And I'm like, but in teaching him, God taught me that the earth is what everything is sitting on. It is the planet itself. If all the earth went below the water, you would still have earth. But if all the land went below the water, it wouldn't be land no more. Land is what you walk on, you build on, you grow on. Earth has no such restrictions. Ultimately, before God modified the earth during the creation, we know there was something there. It didn't have to, all the other planets were put there during creation. But it says that the earth was it was void. But there was water, so there was something. It maybe didn't have the shape, maybe, who knows? But there was something existed there, because he was hovering over the water. Now, it's possible my mind has taken something and made something entirely different out of it. Possible. I'm not perfect yet. As soon as I die, I'll be there. Okay? I have to die first. So do y'all, just so you know. Maybe there are other earthquakes. But it is kind of a cool theory as to why would God have him put that in there. It's an earthquake that's going to be so great. It's never happened since man was here. Well, now you make me wonder what was before that. Why was there an earthquake this big? Or was it during the creation that earthquake happened? Is that where the earthquake came from? Because when God was forming the earth, creating... Now, imagine the earth. It's a ball of earth, okay? And you have water all over it. And then he brings the land up and forms continent. Well, the Pangea, first off, before it split. And you have this big, giant mass, this chunk that God just pushed up out of somehow, somewhere. He's God, is whatever he wants. So, but something happened. And I imagine there was some awful big shaking. Now, why have I gone through all these analogies and kind of mental pictures in your head? Because if the earth shook, imagine how much the earth would have to shake for God to be pulling up land out of the middle, out from under all this water. How bad do you think this earthquake is going to be? I'll tell you how bad. Verse 19 says, "The great city was split into 3 parts, and the cities of nations fell. Babylon the Great was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of his fierce wrath." It says, the cities of nations. There's probably not many structures standing after this earthquake. That's how bad it's going to be. The whole earth will quake. And what's awesome about that is it proves it's God. Does anybody know how? I'm teach you that too. Actually, I think I might have done it already. Did I explain to you guys the whole, when you have pressure, you lose pressure over here, you lose it over here? Okay? So, the West Coast has an earthquake, and the East Coast can't, because the pressure was relieved over on the West, so it can't be on the East, because it comes out, it's reduced, one side or the other. You can't have a worldwide earthquake based on science. If the whole earth shakes, all tectonic plates shift and release pressure simultaneously, it has to be a phenomenon, or we would call it a miracle of God. Because based on the parameters that God created this earth, gravity, everything, it's based on principles that God established and only God can change. Which is just one of those things that's just like, it's going to happen, people. What story are you going to make up when all you scientists tell me it's not possible? And then, what excuses are they going to use? I want to know. I genuinely want to know. What are you going to tell me when it happens? Well, what happened was, Alien Bob, he picked up the wrong redneck. He went upstairs. He got mad. And he sent his earth shaker down there and just rattled the crap out of us. I don't know. It's hard to tell what people are going to say. Verse 20. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. Okay. All the pictures I've painted in your mind so far. Imagine an earthquake so great that all the mountains collapsed. And you have to ask yourself, who's left to challenge Christ at this point? Who's remaining? The earth shook so much the mountains went away, for crying out loud. Who's still cursing God at this point? How is anyone alive? That's some earth shaking. I mean, you ever see one of those chew toys, and it's a little ball, and it has the little thing in it that bounces around? You can imagine in your mind, pick it up and shake the crap out of it. In my mind, when the earth does this, there's people falling, like bouncing off the ground because it's moving so much. Who's alive? Obviously, a lot of people still. Not by our current standards of a lot of people, but, there's still a lot of people alive. And how stubborn can you be? God's in here shaking the whole earth, and you're going to sit here and you're going to flip him off? Yeah, right, like a snow globe. He's like, "Ugh!" My Lord. There's no more islands. There's no more mountains. The islands have run off. Maybe they sank. So if maybe anyone happened to still be alive on those islands, they're not now. People who are up in the mountains hiding, think this is the safest place to be, you're wrong. You were sitting on top of a mountain peak, 2,400 feet up, and all of a sudden you find yourself, if you survive the trip down 2,500 feet, everything you had is gone. If you have your life, you are, well, I don't know if you're blessed or not. If you're saved, then you're blessed. No, you're actually pretty much screwed either way. Yeah, pretty much. Actually, if you're with the Antichrist, you want to stay alive as long as possible. Because as soon as you die, you go to hell. So really, life for you is precious. As a Christian, to live is Christ, to die is gain. It's flat out. So, would you think that's bad enough? Let's keep going. Verse 21. And, not then, and, simultaneously, and huge hailstones about 100 pounds each came down from heaven upon men, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail. So imagine what that snow globe actually works. It's a working analogy, because now you got all these little white things all over the place. 100 pounds, okay? That's half of me. Now, when hail comes down, does it come down one hail an hour?